Hello everyone, welcome to the Curious Subject. Boost your day by unleashing your potential.
In this video we prepared December 2025 current affairs. Let's get started. Nuclear Energy Bill 2025. The government introduced this landmark bill on the first day of the winter session of Parliament to strengthen clean energy capacity and enhance private and foreign participation in nuclear projects. Revised Earthquake Zonation Map. The Bureau of Indian Standards released a 2025 update to India's seismic map, introducing a new highest risk zone 6 for the first time, which now includes the entire Himalayan arc. Mandatory SIM binding. The Department of Telecommunications mandated that app-based communication platforms ensure a physical SIM card is active in a device to function, aimed at curbing cross-border digital fraud. Supreme Court scammer crackdown. The Supreme Court gave the CBI a free hand to investigate digital arrest scammers and mandated probes in Nagaland Statehood Day. Nagaland celebrated its 63rd Statehood Day, commemorating its formation as India's 16th state in 1963. Operation Sagar Bandhu. India launched this humanitarian mission to provide disaster relief, medical support, and food to Sri Lanka following the devastating cyclone Daitwa. UNESCO and IMO elections. India was re-elected to the UNESCO Executive Board for the 2025-29 tenure and to the International Maritime Organization Council, Category B, for the 2026-27 term with the highest votes. United Nations Resident Coordinator. Stefan Priener of Austria officially began his 4-year term as the UN Resident Coordinator in India on December 1. India launched the Hansa 3NG, an indigenous trainer aircraft. A Russian Soyuz spacecraft successfully launched 3 crew members to the ISS. Researchers discovered 13 new species of bush frogs in the eastern Himalayas and Indo-Burma. India's industrial output growth slowed to 0.4% in October 2025. India signed over $800 million in loan agreements with the ADB. New brand ambassadors were announced for DP World, Rohit Sharma, and AU Small Finance Bank. World AIDS Day, observed with the theme Overcoming Disruption, Transforming the AIDS Response. BSF Raising Day. The Border Security Force marked its foundation day. National Pollution Control Day, observed to commemorate victims of the Bhopal gas tragedy. The 2025 theme is Sustainable Development for a Clean and Healthy Planet. World Computer Literacy Day, celebrated globally to bridge the digital divide. 2025 marks the 24th anniversary since its inception by NEET. International Day for the Abolition of Slavery, focuses on eliminating modern forms of slavery like human trafficking and forced labor. Raj Bhavan renaming, effective December 1 and 2. The official residences of governors in states like Kerala, West Bengal, Assam, Tripura, and Tamil Nadu have been officially renamed as Lok Bhavan to symbolize a people's house. Sanchar Sathi app mandate. the Department of Telecommunications directed all smartphone manufacturers to pre-install the Sanchar Sathi app on new devices to combat telecom fraud. Manipur GST Bill. The Lok Sabha passed the Manipur Goods and Services Tax, Second Amendment, Bill, 2025, aligning state rules with central GST rationalization. Assam Anti-Polygamy Bill. The Assam Assembly passed a bill to criminalize polygamy for all religions, with exemptions for 6th Schedule tribal areas. International IDEA Chairship, India, represented by Chief Election Commissioner Gunesh Kumar, assumed the chairship of the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance, International IDEA, for 2026. CBIC Chairman, Vivek Chaturvedi, 1990 batch IRS, officially took charge as the chairman of the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs on December 1, succeeding Sanjay Kumar Agarwal. BSF Raising Day. The Border Security Force marked its foundation day. Rohit Sharma's world record. Rohit Sharma surpassed Shahid Afridi's long-standing record for the most sixes in ODI history, reaching 352 sixes during a Virat Kohli's 52nd century. Virat Kohli broke Sachin Tendulkar's record for the most centuries in a single format by hitting his 52nd ODI century. Sultanas Land Shah Cup. Belgium won their maiden title by defeating India 1-0 in the final held in Malaysia. Syed Modi International. Gayatri Gopichand and Trisa Jolly won the women's doubles title in Lucknow. Jakarta's population milestone. A UN report identified Jakarta, 42 million, as having overtaken Tokyo as the world's most populous city. Iran FIFA boycott. Iran announced a boycott of the 2026 FIFA World Cup draw ceremony in the USA due to visa denials for its delegation. National Strategy for Financial Inclusion, 2025-30. RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra released this 5-year plan centered on the Panch Jyoti objectives, which include promoting women-led inclusion and strengthening customer protection. Indian economy GDP forecast. CRISIL revised India's FY26 GDP growth forecast upward to 7%, driven by strong private consumption and growth in the manufacturing and services sectors. 8th Central Pay Commission. The government formally constituted the 8th CPC but clarified there is currently no proposal to merge dearness allowance with basic pay. Record food grain production. Prime Minister Modi announced a record production of 357 million tons for 2025, marking a 40% increase over the last decade. India was re-elected to the UNESCO Executive Board for the 2025-2029 term. India was also re-elected to the International Maritime Organization Council in Category B. The 60th All India DGP-IGP conference in Raipur focused on national security with PM Modi highlighting the role of AI in policing. The Supreme Court directed the CBI to investigate widespread digital arrest scams. The Ministry of Communications reversed a mandate for pre-installing the Sanchar Sathi app on smartphones. Balad district in Chhattisgarh was declared India's first child marriage-free district. Advanced semiconductor training labs were inaugurated at SCL Mohalai, Punjab. Aim the highest six-hitter in ODI history. Virat Kohli achieved his 52nd ODI century. Max Verstappen won the 2025 Qatar Grand Prix. December 3rd is International Day of Persons with Disabilities, with the 2025 theme Fostering Disability-Inclusive Societies for Advancing Social Progress. Russian President Vladimir Putin attended the 23rd India-Russia Annual Summit in New Delhi, focusing on trade, energy, and defense, including potential procurement of S-400 units and Su-57 jets. India hosted the 18th plenary of the Global Forum on Tax Transparency. Oxford University Press selected Rage Bait as the word of the year for 2025. Nagaland celebrated its statehood day during the ongoing Hornbill Festival. December 4th was Indian Navy Day, commemorating Operation Trident from the 1971 war. The theme for 2025 was Combat Ready, Cohesive, Self-Reliant. The Indian Navy is establishing a new detachment at Bitra Island in Lakshadweep and is set to induct its third indigenous nuclear submarine, INS Aridaman. The Indian Navy is establishing a new detachment at Bitra Island in Lakshadweep and is set to induct its third indigenous nuclear. India continued Operation Sagar Bandhu, a humanitarian mission providing aid to Sri Lanka after Cyclone Daitwa. DRDO conducted a successful high-speed test of a fighter aircraft escape system. The Indian rupee reached Rs 90 per dollar amid foreign investor outflows and a trade deficit. The Lok Sabha approved the Central Excise Amendment Bill 2025, increasing duties on tobacco products. The Atal Pension Yojana reached over 8.34 crore enrollments as of October 2025, with significant female participation. A new credit assessment model was launched to streamline loan appraisals for MSMEs. International Cheetah Day was observed on December 4th. India's cheetah population increased, including cubs born in the country. Indian researchers discovered a spiral galaxy named Alananda using the JWST. A strong X 1.9 class solar flare was recorded, potentially impacting satellite communications. Indo-Russian Annual Summit. Russian President Vladimir Putin visited New Delhi for the 23rd India-Russia Annual Summit. Key discussions with PM Modi focused on defense, energy, and nuclear cooperation, with a commitment to continue uninterrupted fuel shipments to India. Guinness World Record. Maharashtra set a world record by installing 45,911 solar irrigation pumps in a single month under the PM Kusum and Magal Tyala schemes. Seismic Map Update. The Bureau of Indian Standards, BIS, unveiled a new seismic map, introducing Zone 6 as the highest risk category, placing the entire Himalayan arc under this new danger zone. Quantum Economy Roadmap. NEET IAS released a roadmap titled Transforming India into a Leading Quantum-Powered Economy, aiming for India to become a top 3 quantum economy by 2047. Legal and Civil Rights. The National Human Rights Commission, NHRC, reported that 97 Indian laws still contain discriminatory provisions against people affected by leprosy. FIFA 2026 World Cup draw, held in Washington, D.C., the draw determined pools for the 48-team tournament. During the event, FIFA President Gianni Infantino awarded Donald Trump the first ever FIFA Peace Prize. H-1B visa screening. The U.S. government implemented stricter vetting for H-1B visa applicants, specifically scrutinizing candidates for potential involvement in free speech censorship. Women, Peace and Security Index. India ranked 131st in the 2025-26 index. Denmark topped the list, while Afghanistan remained at the bottom. Global Climate Accord. At the 30 Colombian Pesos Summit, negotiators reached a preliminary agreement to reduce global methane emissions by 40% by 2030. Aviation disruptions. Indigo faced major operational crises, cancelling over 170 flights due to new flight duty time limitations for pilots. Normalcy is expected by mid-February 2026. FDI growth. Foreign direct investment into India rose 18% year-on-year to USD 35.18 billion during the April-September period of FY26. Navratna status. Numaligarh Refinery Limited in Assam was officially granted Navratna status. Currency record. The Indian rupee hit a fresh record low, depreciating past 90 per US dollar. Chess victory. Arjun Erigaisi defeated Vishwanathan Anand to win the Jerusalem Masters 2025 title. Hockey achievement. The Indian men's hockey team won the silver medal at the Sultan Aslan Shah Cup 2025 in Malaysia, losing 0-1 to Belgium in the final. Cricket. Joe Root scored his first ever Ashes century in Australia during the second test in Brisbane. World Soil Day. December 5 observed with the theme Healthy Soils for Healthy Cities. International Volunteer Day. December 5 the 2025 theme was Every Contribution Matters. 70th Mahaparinirvan Divas. India observed the 70th death anniversary of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar on December 6, 2025. India-Russia Annual Summit. PM Modi and President Putin concluded the 23rd summit in New Delhi. Key outcomes included a trade target of $100 billion by 2030 and 16 agreements covering defense, nuclear energy, and maritime corridors. Indigo flight crisis. Following 5 days of severe disruptions, the Ministry of Civil Aviation capped domestic airfares at Rs 7,500 for routes under 500 km and ordered full passenger refunds by December 7. Women's welfare bills. Warangal MP Kadiyam Kavya became the first woman MP from her state to introduce 2 private members' bills in the Lok Sabha, including a mandate for compulsory menstruation-related facilities at all workplaces. Digital governance. Passport verification records were made available on DigiLocker to simplify paperless travel. RBI repo rate cut. The Reserve Bank of India lowered the repo rate by 25 basis points to 5.25% to support economic momentum. GDP growth revision. The RBI raised India's GDP growth forecast for 2025 to 26 to 7.3%, from 6.8%, citing a rare Goldilocks period of high growth and low inflation. Fitch Ratings update. Fitch raised India's FY26 GDP forecast to 7.4% from its previous estimate of 6.9%. Open market operations. The RBI announced OMO purchases worth Rs 1 trillion to inject durable liquidity into the financial system. Gaza ceasefire. Qatar's PM stated that mediation for a ceasefire has reached a critical moment as the first phase winds down. FIFA Peace Prize. Donald Trump was awarded the first ever FIFA Peace Prize during the 2020 UNESCO News. India was selected to host the 20th UNESCO Intergovernmental Committee session. Afghanistan-Pakistan conflict. A border shootout between Pakistani and Afghan soldiers resulted in 5 civilian deaths. Safety technology. DRDO successfully conducted a rocket sled ejection test to enhance fighter pilot safety during supersonic ejections. Space research. India's AstroSat mission celebrated a decade of successful operation of its ultraviolet imaging telescope. Invasive species study. A pan-India study revealed that 2/3 of India's natural ecosystems are now affected by high-risk invasive plant species. Cricket milestone. Sunil Narine became the first bowler in history to take 600 wickets in competitive T20 cricket. Cricket retirement. Indian fast bowler Mohit Sharma announced his retirement from all formats of cricket. Armed Forces Flag Day. India observed its 77th Armed Forces Flag Day on December 7, honoring martyrs and personnel serving in the Army, Navy, and Air Force. Aviation disruption. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation issued advisories as volcanic ash from Ethiopia's Haile Gubbi eruption entered Indian airspace, causing flight rerouting and mass cancellations, particularly affecting Indigo. India-Russia relations. Following President Putin's recent visit, the Russian parliament approved the reciprocal exchange of logistics support agreement, granting India access to strategic Arctic and Pacific bases. Quantum Technology Roadmap. NIT, IAS and IBM launched a national roadmap aiming for India to become a top 3 global quantum economy by 2047. Banking reform. Fino Payments Bank received in-principle approval from the RBI to convert into a small finance bank, the first payments bank to do so. Mount Kangto Ascent. An 18-member Indian Army team completed the first ever recorded ascent of Mount Kangto, 7,042 m, Arunachal Pradesh's highest peak. Goa nightclub tragedy. A major fire at a nightclub in a Goa beach resort, reportedly caused by a gas cylinder explosion, resulted in 25 deaths. Coup attempt in Benin. Elements of the Benin armed forces attempted a coup against President Patrice Talon. The attempt was foiled with support from the Nigerian International Civil Aviation Day, observed globally on December 7 to highlight the role of civil aviation in social and economic development. FIFA Peace Prize. U.S. President Donald Trump received the inaugural FIFA Peace Prize during the 2026 World Cup draw in Washington for claimed contributions to global peace. Syria policy shift. Canada followed the US and UK in removing Syria from its list of state sponsors of terrorism after Hayat Tahrir al-Sham seized control of Damascus. Formula 1. McLaren's Lando Norris won his first F1 World Drivers' Championship after a podium finish at the season-ending Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Cricket. Australia secured a 2-0 lead in the Ashes after defeating England by 8 wickets in the second test at the Gabba. Chess. Arjun Eragazi won the Jerusalem Masters 2025 title, defeating Vishwanathan Anand in a blitz tie-break final. Badminton. 19-year-old Sanskar Saraswat clinched his maiden Super 100 title at the Guwahati Masters. Football. Brazil won the inaugural FIFA Futsal Women's World Cup, defeating Portugal 3-0 in the final. Kalyan Chattopadhyay, veteran Indian actor and FT2 graduate, passed away at the age of 82. Swaraj Koshal, former governor of Mizoram and husband of the late Sushma Swaraj, passed away at 73. UNESCO session in New Delhi. India hosted the 20th session of the UNESCO Intergovernmental Committee for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage at the Red Fort from December 8 to 13, 2025. Indigo flight crisis. A parliamentary panel moved to summon airline executives following mass flight cancellations by Indigo that left thousands of travelers stranded. Indian Army's MT Kangto ascent. An 18-member team from the Eastern Command successfully summited Mount Kangto, 7,042 m, marking the first ever recorded ascent of Arunachal Pradesh's highest peak. Draft ISI Bill, 2025. Protests erupted over the draft Indian Statistical Institute, ISI, bill, which proposed transforming the institute into a statutory body corporate, sparking concerns about academic autonomy. Karnataka Hate Speech Bill. The Karnataka government introduced the Hate Speech and Hate Crimes Prevention Bill, 2025, prescribing strict penalties and introducing collective liability for organizations. Syrian transition. Canada aligned with the US and UK by removing Syria from its list of state sponsors of terrorism following the collapse of the Assad regime. Yemen conflict. The Southern Transitional Council captured all 8 southern governorates, signaling a major shift toward potential independence for South Yemen. China's trade milestone. China's trade surplus officially surpassed US $1 trillion for the first time, despite ongoing pressure from US tariffs. US policy shifts. the Trump administration issued an executive order aimed at ending automatic birthright citizenship, a move the Supreme Court agreed to hear arguments on. Fino Payments Bank SFB license. The RBI granted in-principle approval to Fino Payments Bank to convert into a small finance bank, the first such approval for a payments bank. GDP forecast upgrade. Fitch Ratings upgraded India's FY26 GDP growth forecast to 7.4%, up from a previous estimate of 6.9%. Rajmarg Infra Invit, SEBI granted in-principle approval for the registration of the National Highways. Eleventh IISF 2025, the 11th India International Science Festival commenced in Panchkula, Haryana, with the theme Vigyan Se Samruddhi. New spiral galaxy. Indian astronomers discovered the Alananda galaxy, a well-formed spiral galaxy from the early universe, 1.5 billion years old, using the James Webb Space Telescope. Earthquake in Japan. A magnitude 7.6 earthquake struck off the coast of Aomori Prefecture, Japan. FIFA Peace Prize. FIFA President Gianni Infantino presented the inaugural FIFA Peace Prize to U.S. President Donald Trump during the 2026 World Cup draw. Jerusalem Masters 2025, Indian Grandmaster Arjun Erugasi won the title by defeat. '83rd Golden Globe nominations. Nominations for the 2026 Golden Globes were released, with One Battle After Another leading film categories and The White Lotus leading television. Bodhi Day, observed globally on December 8 by Buddhist communities to commemorate Siddhartha Gautama's enlightenment. Indian Navy Submarine Day, observed on December 8 to commemorate the commissioning of the first Indian submarine, INS Calvary, in 1967. Rajasthan became the first state in India to fully digitize its voter rolls under the Special Intensive Revision. Indigo announced significant daily flight reductions to stabilize its network following operational disruptions. The Right to Disconnect Bill, 2025 was introduced in the Lok Sabha, and a debate occurred between Prime Minister Modi and opposition leaders during the 150th anniversary of Vande Mataram. Maharashtra achieved a Guinness World Record by installing a large number of off-grid solar agricultural pumps within 30 days. Nagaland launched Mission Watershed Punarutthan to revive water bodies, and the Rising Global Summit 2025 commenced in Hyderabad to attract investments. December 9 marked the 10th anniversary of the International Day of Commemoration and Dignity of the Victims of the Crime of Genocide. International Anti-Corruption Day was observed with a focus on uniting with youth. Border clashes resumed between Thailand and Cambodia over the disputed Preah Vihear temple. India provided aid to Sri Lanka after Cyclone Daitwa through an expanded Operation Sagar Bandhu. A significant earthquake struck off the coast of Misawa, Japan, prompting temporary tsunami warnings. Indian markets closed lower, with both the Sensex and Nifty declining. SEBI introduced Parva to verify performance claims made by market intermediaries. Tata Electronics and Intel signed an agreement related to semiconductor manufacturing and packaging. Patanjali Group signed an MOU with Russia to promote Ayurveda. Lando Norris won his first F1 World Championship at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Simranpreet Kaur Brar secured gold in shooting at the ISSF World Cup final. Sarwajya Singh Kushwaha became the world's youngest FIDE-rated chess player. Sanskar Saraswat claimed the men's singles title at the 2025 Guwahati Masters. Human Rights Day 2025, observed globally with the theme Human Rights, Our Everyday Essentials. In India, President Draupadi Murmu attended a national function organized by the National Human Rights Commission in New Delhi. Nobel Prize Day. The annual Nobel Prize award ceremonies were held in Stockholm and Oslo on the death anniversary of Alfred Nobel. Nobel Peace Prize, awarded to Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado. Her daughter accepted the prize on her behalf in Oslo while Machado was reportedly in transition after a secret extraction from Venezuela. Other laureates, ceremonies in Stockholm honored winners in physics, John Clark, Michelle H. Dvorak, John M. Martinez, chemistry, Susumu Kitagawa, Richard Robson, Omar M. Yagi, and medicine, Mary E. Brunkow, Fred Ramsdell, Shimon Sakaguchi. Deepavali UNESCO recognition. Deepavali was officially inscribed on the UNESCO representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Electoral reforms. Rajasthan became the first state to achieve 100% digitization of electoral rolls under the Special Intensive Revision (SIR) program. National Handicrafts Awards. President Murmu conferred the awards for 2023 and 2024 to 48 artisans, including 12 Shilp Guru Awards. Indigo flight crisis. The DGCA ordered Indigo to cut its flight schedule by 5% amid large-scale cancellations, while the Delhi High Court ordered the airline to begin passenger compensation. Hate Speech Bill. The Karnataka Hate Speech and Hate Crimes Prevention Bill, 2025, which proposes 2 to 10 years of imprisonment, was tabled in the State Assembly. Andrej Babi, sworn in as the Prime Minister of the Czech Republic following October elections. U.S.-India relations. A new U.S. policy paper reportedly identified India as a key ally against China while downgrading Pakistan's strategic importance. U.S. tariffs. Outgoing or President-elect Trump signaled potential fresh tariffs on Indian rice exports, claiming they were dumped in the U.S. Gaza conflict. Palestinian health officials reported that over 370 people had been killed since a US-brokered ceasefire took effect on October 10. Digital payments. The IMF recognized India's UPI as the world's most used retail fast payment system. Deep Tech Fund. IIT Bombay's sign launched India's first incubator-linked Deep Tech VC fund, the Y-Point Venture Capital Fund, with a Rs 250 crore corpus. Airline profits. IATA projected the global airline industry would post a record net profit of $41 billion in 2026. ISSF World Cup Final, concluded in Doha, India finished second with 6 medals. Simranpreet Kaur Brar, 25m pistol, and Surakai Singh, 10m air pistol, won gold. Animal Welfare Award. Anant Ambani became the first Asian and youngest recipient of the Global Humanitarian Award for Animal Welfare for his Vantara initiative. IPL value. Reports indicated the IPL ecosystem's value dropped 20% to $9.6 billion in 2025. UNESCO recognition for Deepavali. The Festival of Lights was officially inscribed on UNESCO's representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity during the 20th session held at Delhi's Red Fort. Banking sector stability. RBI data revealed India's banking sector reached its most stable phase in 20 years, with gross NPAs falling to 2.31% as of March 2025. Jal Shakti Hackathon 2025, Union Minister C.R. Patil launched this national movement in the Bharat Wind portal to drive innovation in the water sector. All-electric green tug. Union Minister Sarbananda Sonowal flagged off the construction of India's first all-electric green tug for the Deen Dayal Port Authority in Gujarat. Solar Storm Insights. IRO's Aditya L1 provided critical data explaining the unusual behavior of the powerful May 2024 solar storm, marking a milestone in heliophysics. New spider species. Scientists from the Zoological Survey of India discovered 2 new jumping spider species, Asamonia dentes and Calidus nongwar, in Meghalaya. U.S.-Venezuela tensions. U.S. President Donald Trump announced the seizure of a large oil tanker, the Skipper, off the Venezuelan coast, which Venezuela condemned as international piracy. Australia's social media ban. Australia became the first country to legally enforce a minimum age of 16 for using major social media platforms. U.S. interest rate cut. The Federal Reserve voted to cut interest rates by a quarter point for the third time in 2025. Nobel Peace Prize 2025. Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for her pro-democracy efforts. Gaza winter crisis. Hundreds of thousands of displaced Palestinians faced a fierce winter storm with heavy rains and flash flooding, leading to reports of child deaths from cold exposure. F1 World Champion, Lando Norris, McLaren, won the 2025 Formula One World Championship, narrowly defeating Max Verstappen. Chess milestone. 3-year-old Sarwajya Singh Kushwaha from India became the world's youngest FIDE-rated chess player. Junior Hockey World Cup. The Indian men's team won their first bronze medal by defeating Argentina 4-2 in Chennai. PETA India Person of the Year. Bollywood actress Raveena Tandon was named PETA India's 2025 Person of the Year. UNICEF Foundation Day, observed on December 11. The 2025 theme was My Day, My Rights. International Mountain Day, celebrated with the 2025 theme Glaciers Matter for Water, Food, and Livelihoods. Bangladesh election schedule. The Chief Election Commissioner announced that Bangladesh's 13th national election and a constitutional referendum on the July Charter will be held on February 12, 2026. India-US relations. PM Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump held a phone conversation to review bilateral progress and discuss trade arrangements. Mexico tariffs. The Mexican Senate approved tariff hikes of up to 50% on imports from China and other Asian countries, including India, effective from April 2026. U.S. immigration policy. The Trump administration proposed a new gold card visa to retain foreign talent while also suggesting that visitors from certain nations submit 5 years of social media history for entry. Venezuela crisis. The U.S. tightened sanctions on President Nicolas Maduro's family and announced plans to seize more oil tankers following the seizure of a massive vessel earlier in the week. Census 2027 approved. The Union Cabinet approved Rs 11,718 crore for India's first ever digital census, to be conducted in 2 phases between April 2026 and February 2027. Universal Health Coverage Day, observed globally on December 12 to promote affordable, quality health services. President's Manipur visit. President Draupadi Murmu inaugurated projects worth Rs 1,387 crore in Impel and called for peace and reconciliation among communities. Economy and rupee. The Indian rupee hit a record low of Rs 90.42 against the US dollar. Meanwhile, the ADB raised India's FY26 GDP growth forecast to 7.2%. Hydrogen vessel launch. India's first indigenously built hydrogen fuel cell passenger vessel began commercial service in Varanasi. Zubin Garg case. A special investigation team filed a charge sheet naming 4 individuals for murder in the death of the popular singer. Gaganyaan update. ISRO announced that the launch vehicle Mark will be used for the crewed Gaganyaan mission in 2020. UNEP honor. Supriya Sahu, a senior official from Tamil Nadu, received the UNEP 2025 Champions of the Earth Award for Climate Leadership. Biodiversity discoveries. Over 40 new species, including the snake Lycodon irwini, were discovered in the Great Nicobar Project area. AI policy. President Trump signed an executive order establishing a single national U.S. standard for AI, blocking states from enacting individual regulations. Junior Hockey World Cup. Germany won their 8th title by defeating Spain. India secured the bronze medal with a victory over Argentina. ISSF World Cup Final. India finished second in the overall medal tally in Doha, highlighted by Surakai Singh's junior world record in the 10m air pistol. Squash World Cup. China was confirmed as the host for the 2025 Squash World Cup starting December 10. Cricket. South Africa defeated India in the second T20 to level the series 1-1. Shivraj Patel, former Union Home Minister and 10th Speaker of the Lok Sabha, passed away at age 91. Simone Tata, business leader and former head of Lakme, passed away in Mumbai at age 95. Census 2027 Budget. India's Union Cabinet approved Rs 11,718 crore for the digitally conducted Census 2027. Regs reform. The Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme is set to be renamed Pujya Bapu Gramin Rozgar Yojana, with guaranteed work increasing from 100. Shanti Bill. The Shanti Bill, or Atomic Energy Bill 2025, was approved by the Cabinet to modernize India's nuclear sector and allow private sector involvement. Coal Setup Policy. A new coal setup window was approved under the linkage auction policy for domestic industrial buyers to secure long-term coal linkages. Financial Reclaim Campaign. The Your Money, Your Right initiative was launched nationwide to help citizens reclaim unclaimed financial assets. FDI and Insurance. A proposal was approved to increase the foreign direct investment limit in insurance companies from 74% to 100%. National Makhana Board. The Union government established the National Makhana Board to promote the crop, full. UN Refugee Chief. Former Iraqi President Barham Saleh was appointed the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. India-Malaysia Ties. The third India-Malaysia Joint Working Group meeting on counter-terrorism took place in New Delhi. Mexico Tariffs. Mexico announced increased import tariffs, up to 50% for sensitive sectors, on countries without trade agreements, impacting Indian and Chinese exports from January 2026. Trump Gold Card. U.S. President Donald Trump established the Gold Card visa program, a pay-to-play model for expedited permanent residency. Syria attack. An ISIS ambush in Palmyra on December 13 killed 2 U.S. service members and a civilian interpreter. Project Sunkachar. Google CEO Sundar Pichai announced an initiative to establish solar-powered data centers in space by 2027. Hydrogen mobility. India launched a pilot project to test Toyota's Mirai fuel cell electric vehicle in real-world Indian conditions. New species. The Zoological Survey of India discovered 2 new species of jumping spiders in Meghalaya. NASA MAVEN mission. NASA reported losing contact with its MAVEN spacecraft, which had been studying the Martian atmosphere. Champions of the Earth. Indian IAS officer Supriya Sahu received the UNS Champions of the Earth Award 2000. Junior Men's Hockey. Germany won the Junior Men's Hockey World Cup 2025 in China, with India securing the bronze medal. Messi in India. Football icon Lionel Messi arrived in Kolkata on December 13 for his GOAT India. Women's Chess. PV Nandhidha won the 51st National Women's Chess Championship. Time Person of the Year. Time magazine named the architects of artificial intelligence as the Person of the Year for Golden Globe Award. Indian actress Alia Bhatt received the Golden Globe Horizon Award at the Red Sea International Film Festival. December 10th, Human Rights Day, theme 2025, Human Rights, Our Everyday Essentials. December 11th, International Mountain Day, theme 2025, Glaciers Matter for Water, Food, and Livelihoods. December 13th, National Horse Day, U.S., and the anniversary of the 2001 Parliament attack. National Energy Conservation Day, observed annually across India on December 14 to raise awareness about energy efficiency. President Draupadi Murmu presided over the 2025 event at Vigyan Bhawan, New Delhi, introducing a new award category for social media influencers to promote conservation. International Day Against Colonialism, officially designated by the United Nations as December 14. This day was observed for the first time in 2025 to reinforce global commitments to ending colonialism. Hanukkah, the Jewish festival of Hanukkah began on the evening of December 14, 2025, and will continue until December 22. Renaming of Mriga, the Union Cabinet approved renaming the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme Atomic Energy, Shanti, Bill 2025, the government introduced the Sustainable Harnessing and Advancement of Nuclear Energy for Transforming India, Shanti, Bill to allow up to 49% private and foreign equity in nuclear power projects. Hydrogen Fuel Vessel, India's first indigenous hydrogen fuel cell passenger vessel, built by Cochin Shipyard, began commercial operations at Nimoghat, Varanasi. National Makhana Board, the first meeting of the newly established National Makhana Board was held in New Delhi, launching a Rs 476 crore scheme for the sector's development. Maharashtra reforms. The state government announced the dismantling of the century-old Pagdai rental system and partnered with Microsoft to launch Mahakrimio's AI for cybercrime investigations. World Bank funding. The World Bank approved $600 million for clean air programs in Uttar Pradesh and Haryana, targeting transboundary banking expansion. J.P. Morgan Chase received in-principle approval from the RBI to open a new branch in Pune, its first branch expansion in India in nearly a decade. Mutual fund access. The Department of Posts signed an MoU with BSE to distribute mutual funds through India Post's network to improve rural financial inclusion. FIH Men's Junior Hockey World Cup. Germany won their 8th title by defeating Spain in the final in China. India secured the bronze medal after a comeback victory over Argentina. Under-19 Asia Cup. 14-year-old Vaibhav Suryavanshi scored a record-breaking 171 runs off 95 balls against the UAE in the tournament opener. Bondi Beach shooting. Sydney. A deadly shooting occurred during a Hanukkah celebration at Bondi Beach, Australia, leaving at least 15 people dead and dozens injured. Australian authorities officially declared the attack a terrorist incident. Thailand-Cambodia conflict. Tensions escalated as Thailand confirmed the first civilian death from a Cambodian rocket strike in the border region. Thailand subsequently declared a curfew in its southeastern coastal province of Trat. Syrian patrol attack. gunmen opened fire on a security patrol in Idlib, Syria, resulting in 4 deaths. Bar-headed goose, that was recently seen in news, is native to Central Asia. BJP leadership. Bihar Cabinet Minister Nitin Nabin was appointed as the National Working President of the BJP. Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act scheme has been renamed as Pujya Bapu Gramin Rozgar Yojana. CAA progress in Assam. A woman became the first female in the state to be granted Indian citizenship under the Citizenship Act 2019, bringing the total count in Assam to 4. Cybercrime crackdown. The CBI filed a charge sheet against 17 individuals, including 4 Chinese nationals, for operating a transnational cyber fraud network. Quantum achievement. Scientists successfully used Google's 65-qubit Willow quantum chip to measure out-of-time order correlators, running algorithms 13,000 times faster. Hydrogen rail advancement. India's first hydrogen-powered train pilot was highlighted as a key step toward the railway's net zero 2030 goal. Biodiversity discoveries. 2 new jumping spider species were discovered in Meghalaya, identifying the region as a critical biodiversity hotspot. Bolivia. Heavy flooding killed 20 people and left dozens missing in the Santa Cruz region. United States. A major winter storm brought 6 to 12 inches of snow to the Mid-Atlantic and New England states, disrupting over 1,000 flights. Pacific Northwest. A levee breach near Seattle-Tacoma International Airport prompted flash flood warnings for 46,000 residents. AIIMS drug study. A study across 10 Indian cities revealed the average age of children picking up drugs and alcohol has dropped to 13 years, calling for primary school interventions. Medical education. The Medical Counseling Committee added 135 more seats to the NEET PG 2025 Round 2 process, bringing the total to 32,000. Kolkata event chaos. The organizer of a Lionel Messi event in Kolkata was remanded to 14 days of police custody following stadium vandalism and fan protests over tickets. MNREGA overhaul. The Union Cabinet approved renaming the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act as the Pujya Bapu Gramin Rozgar Yojana. The revamp includes increasing guaranteed annual employment from 100 to 125 days. Insurance Amendment Bill 2025. A new bill proposes raising the foreign direct investment cap in the insurance sector from 74% to 100%. It also lowers the net owned fund requirement for foreign reinsurers from Rs 5,000 crore to Rs 1,000 crore. National Blood Transfusion Bill 2025, introduced to establish a National Blood Transfusion Authority, creating uniform statutory standards for blood management and supporting patients with conditions like thalassemia. Coal Sector Policy. The Union Cabinet approved the coal sector window under the non-regulated sector linkage policy to enable long-term coal linkage. New Ramsar sites. India added 2 new wetlands to the Ramsar list, Kopra Reservoir in Chhattisgarh and Silasur Lake in Rajasthan, bringing India's total to 96 sites. Wildlife conservation. Madhya Pradesh announced the development of Virangana Durgavati Tiger Reserve as India's third cheetah habitat, with 8 more cheetahs expected from Botswana in January 2026. Climate victory at UNEA. India's resolution on strengthening the global management of wildfires was adopted at the UN Environment Assembly. Geminid meteor shower. The annual Geminid meteor shower peaked over India between December 13 to 15, offering visibility of up to 120 meteors per hour. Mahakrymo SAI. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella launched India's first AI-powered operating system for law enforcement in Maharashtra to accelerate cybercrime and financial fraud investigations. China Metro funding. The Asian Development Bank approved a $240 million loan for the expansion of the China Metro rail network. Indigenous medical innovation. AIIMS Delhi completed clinical trials of the Supernova stent, India's first indigenous brain stent for treating severe stroke patients. WSF Squash World Cup 2025, India won its first ever World Cup title by defeating top-seeded Hong Kong 3-0 in the final held in China. Gaza Yellow Line. In international geopolitics, discussions emerged regarding a proposed yellow line dividing Gaza as a potential new border for Israel. UNESCO Heritage. UNESCO added several endangered traditional arts to its intangible cultural heritage list during a session at Delhi's Red Fort, including Borendo, Pakistan, and Wazindika dance, Kenya. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. December 15 marked the 75th death anniversary of the Iron Man of India. Baichung Bhutia. Former Indian football captain Baichung Bhutia celebrated his birthday on this day. New Naval Squadron. The Indian Navy will commission INAS 335, its second squadron of MH-60R Seahawk helicopters, at INS Hansa in Goa. Vijay Diwas events. Commemorations for the 54th Vijay Diwas began, including a major painting competition at the Albert Eka War Memorial in Agartala to honor the 1971 war victory. Internal security. Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid tribute to the martyrs of the 2001 Parliament attack during a remembrance ceremony. Jordan visit. Prime Minister Modi embarked on a bilateral visit to Jordan to discuss strategic trade and regional diplomacy. Andrej Babis sworn in. Slovak-born billionaire Andrej Babis was officially sworn in as the new Prime Minister of the Czech Republic by President Petr Pavel. Australia terror incident. A mass shooting occurred at a Jewish event at Bondi Beach, Sydney, resulting in at least 12 fatalities. The attackers were identified as a father-son duo. EU-Lebanon relations. The 9th EU-Lebanon Association Council met in Brussels, reaffirming commitment to a two-state solution for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and modernizing their strategic partnership. Jimmy Lai conviction. Pro-democracy tycoon Jimmy Lai was convicted in a landmark national security case in Hong Kong, facing potential life imprisonment. Cricket. India took a 2-1 lead in the T20 International Series against South Africa after winning the third match by 7 wickets in Dharamsala. Badminton. The Odisha Masters 2025 concluded in Cuttack. Top seed Unnati Huda won the women's singles title, while Kiran George secured the men's singles crown. Shooting. At the 68th National Shooting Championship, double Olympic medalist Manu Baker won the gold medal in the senior women's 25m sports pistol event. Football. Lionel Messi arrived in New Delhi for the final leg of his GOAT India tour. Earlier in Mumbai, he helped launch Project Mahadeva, a state-level initiative to identify under-13 football talent in Maharashtra. Santosh Trophy. Kerala defeated Goa 4-3 in a high-scoring match in the Santosh Trophy National Football. Indigenous vessel. India's first indigenous hydrogen fuel cell vessel, named Pilot 01, was flagged off in Varanasi on the Ganga River. Health. The FDA approved 2 new oral therapies to treat gonorrhea, addressing the global rise in antimicrobial resistant strains. Pax Silica Initiative. A new U.S.-led strategic initiative was detailed, focusing on securing global silicon and AI supply chains with partners. Viksit Bharat Shiksha Adishtan Bill 2025. The Union government has tabled this bill in the Lok Sabha to overhaul the higher education regulatory framework, proposing to bring IITS and IIMS under a single regulator. Digital Census 2027 approved. The Union Cabinet approved a proposal to conduct India's first digital census in 2027 at an estimated cost of Rs 11,718.24 crore. Nuclear power sector reforms. The Cabinet cleared the Shanti Bill, Sustainable Harnessing and Advancement of Nuclear Energy for Transforming India, opening the nuclear sector to private participation. Insurance FDI increase. A bill to raise the foreign direct investment limit in the insurance sector to 100% has been approved by the Cabinet. Indigenous tech milestones. India launched Dhruv 64, its first indigenous 1.0 GHz, 64-bit dual-core microprocessor developed by the Centre for Development of Advanced Computing, CDAC. PM Modi's three-nation tour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Amman, Jordan, for a 2-day official visit. He will also visit Ethiopia and Oman as part of this diplomatic tour. India-Brazil defense ties. India and Brazil signed a memorandum of understanding for the maintenance of Skorpeni-class submarine. Saudi-China diplomacy. Saudi Arabia and China signed a mutual diplomatic visa exemption agreement. José Antonio Cast has been elected as new president of Chile country in December 2025. Death Valley National Park, that was recently seen in news, is located in United States. The Moai River, that was recently seen in news due to cross-border cyber fraud activities, forms a natural boundary between AI competitiveness. India is now ranked as the third most competitive nation in artificial intelligence globally, trailing only the US and China, according to the 2025 Stanford University Global AI Vibrancy Index. Green energy in UP, NLC India is developing a new 110 MW solar plant in Uttar Pradesh. Wildlife protection. Interpol announced that over 30,000 live animals were seized in a recent month-long global Squash World Cup. The Indian team won its first ever Squash World Cup title at the SDAT Squash World Cup 2025, defeating U19 Asia Cup. India secured a dominant 90-run victory against Pakistan. Physical Disability T20, a landmark Physical Disability T20 series begins today at Mumbai's Wankhede Stadium. Shooting. Reza Dhillon won 2 gold medals at the ongoing 68th National Shooting Championships. National shooting. Manu Baker and Simranpreet Kaur Brar both secured gold medals at the 68th National Shooting Championships in New Delhi. Shooting excellence. Manu Baker and Simranpreet Kaur Brar won gold at the 68th National Shooting Championships. Cricket recognition. Indian opener Shafali Verma was named the ICC Women's Player of the Month for November 2025. Pollution curbs in Delhi NCR. Authorities have escalated pollution control measures twice in a single day as air quality in the National Capital Region continues to deteriorate. Madhya Pradesh GCC policy. Madhya Pradesh became the first Indian state to launch a dedicated Global Capability Center policy. Today, Tuesday, December 16, 2025, marks the 54th Vijay Diwas in India and Bangladesh, commemorating the 1971 military victory over Pakistan. PM Modi's strategic visit. Prime Minister Narendra Modi began a 3-nation visit to Jordan, Ethiopia, and Oman. He is currently in Amman, Jordan, to strengthen trade and security ties. Uttarakhand government launched the Meri Yojana portal to make welfare schemes JEE Shankar in Israel. External Affairs Minister JEE Shankar arrives in Israel today for high-level meetings with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Isaac Herzog. U.S.-Ukraine security deal. The U.S. has reportedly agreed to provide unspecified security guarantees to Ukraine as part of a potential peace deal discussed in Berlin. Bondi Beach shooting. Australia has formally declared a recent shooting incident in Sydney as an act of terrorism. The death toll has risen to 15. New Rural Jobs Bill. The government has introduced the Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission, Gramin, bill to replace the current MNREGA. Chief Information Commissioner, Raj Kumar Goyal has been sworn in as the new Chief Information Commissioner. First Woman Press Club President, Sangeeta Barua Pisharodi has been elected as the first woman president. Bihar incident. Opposition leaders have criticized Bihar CM Nitish Kumar after a video emerged of him removing a woman's hijab at a government function. Sydney shooting update. The death toll from the Bondi Beach terrorist attack has risen to 16. Australian authorities have identified the suspects as a father-son duo of Pakistani origin. Pahalgam attack charge sheet. The NEET filed a 1,300-page charge sheet against 7 terrorists, including lead handler Sajid Jat. Market trends. The BSE Sensex and Nifty 50 opened with mild cuts following global cues and FII outflows. Flipkart IPO. Reports indicate Flipkart is moving closer to finalizing its plans for an initial public offering in India. Musk's net worth. Elon Musk has become the first person to reach a net worth of $600 billion. Trade milestone. India's exports recorded their fastest growth in over 3 years, despite challenges from international tariffs. Rupee record low. The Indian rupee hit an all-time low of 90.74 per US dollar yesterday due to sustained foreign fund outflows and trade uncertainty. ICICI Prudential AMC IPO. Today is the final day for investors to bid for the rupees 10. Unemployment decline. India's unemployment rate fell to 4.7% in November 2020. Bitcoin slump. Bitcoin dropped below $86,000 this morning, down approximately 30% from its October record high of $126,000. Pollution response. Due to hazardous air quality, the Delhi government has directed all schools to shift to online mode for students up to Class 5. AI security. Maharashtra launched Maha Crime OS AI, India's first AI-powered cyber crime investigation platform, initially deployed in Nagpur. Celestial event. The Geminid meteor shower remains active this week, peaking as one of the year's most consistent celestial displays. PM Modi's Ethiopian Award. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was conferred with the Great Honor Nishan of Ethiopia by Ethiopian PM Abiy Ahmed Ali. He is the first world leader to receive this specific top-tier recognition, marking his 28th international state honor. Global AI ranking. India jumped to third place in Stanford's Global AI Vibrancy Tool 2025, trailing only the United States and China. Higher education reform. The Union government introduced the Viksit Bharat Shiksha Edishthan Bill, 2025, aimed at reforming India's higher education regulatory framework. Insurance sector updates. The Sabka Bima Sabki Raksha, Amendment of Insurance Laws, Bill, 2025. Insurance sector updates. The Sabka Bima Sabki Raksha, Amendment of Insurance Laws, Bill, 2025 was introduced in the Lok Sabha. Pension reforms. The Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority announced that non-government national pension system subscribers can now withdraw up to 80% of their pension corpus. Financial literacy. The RBI granted scheduled bank status to the Mumbai-based Model Cooperative Bank Limited. Apache helicopters. The Indian Army received the final batch of 3 AH-64E Apache attack helicopters, completing its 6-unit fleet at the 451 Army Aviation Squadron in Jodhpur. Indigenous computing. India launched Dhruv-64, its first 1.0 GHz, Joint military exercise. The bilateral military exercise Equivarin, between the Indian Army and the Maldives National Defence Forces, concluded in Thiruvananthapuram. Chile's new president, ultra-conservative José Antonio Cast, was elected as the next president of Chile, defeating Janet Jara with over 58% of the vote. UNESCO recognition. Italian cooking was inscribed on UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage list during the 20th FIFA Best Awards, held in Doha. Usman Idambal won Men's Player of the Year, and Aidana Bonmati won Women's Player of the Year. ICC Player of the Month. Indian opener Shefali Verma won the ICC Women's Player of the Month for November after India's first Women's World Cup title. Oscars 2026. Niraj Gaiwan's film Homebound was shortlisted among the final 15 for Best International Feature Film at the 98th Academy Awards. Statue unveiling. A statue of legendary singer S.P. Balasubramaniam was unveiled in Hyderabad. Interstellar discovery. Astronomers detected a wobbling high-latitude jet on the interstellar comet 3I Atlas. This is the first time a spinning jet has been observed on an interstellar object. New species found. Scientists in Meghalaya, India, discovered a new species of snakehead fish, named Chanabhoi, in a mountain stream in the Aribhoi district. AI in weather modeling. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration deployed a new generation of AI-driven global weather models to improve operational forecasting. Spiral Galaxy Alananda. Indian researchers at TIFR identified a mature spiral galaxy, named Alananda, existing just 1.5 billion years after the Big Bang, challenging existing theories of galaxy evolution. Largest U.S. IPO. Medical supplies giant Medline debuted on the Nasdaq under the ticker MDLN, raising $6.26 billion. This was the largest U.S. initial Market trends. Despite the Medline IPO, the Nasdaq Composite tumbled 1.8% and the S&P 500 fell 1.1% as investors rotated out of high-value AI and semiconductor stocks. Rupee record low. The Indian rupee hit a new record low of 90.87 against the US dollar amid persistent foreign fund outflows. Venezuela tanker blockade. Oil prices rebounded after the U.S. administration announced plans to block sanctioned tankers from entering or leaving Venezuela. Hydrogen emission study. Research published in Nature revealed that rising global hydrogen emissions since 1990 have indirectly intensified climate change by amplifying the warming effects of methane. Indigenous climate action. Canada announced a $13.1 million investment for 16 First Nations-led climate initiatives aimed at ecosystem conservation and land management. ICJ climate ruling. The International Court of Justice issued a seminal advisory opinion clarifying that mitigating climate change is a legal obligation for states under international law. WWE retirement. Legendary wrestler John Cena officially retired from in-ring competition following a final match at Saturday night's main event. Minorities' Rights Day, observed annually on December 18 to protect the rights of religious minorities in the country. International Migrants Day, observed globally with the 2025 theme focusing on the respect and rights of migrants. Indian Prime Minister became the first world leader to receive Ethiopia's highest honor. Shanti Bill, 2025. The Union Cabinet approved this bill to allow regulated private sector participation in nuclear power generation, ending a long-standing state monopoly. Insurance law amendments. The Lok Sabha passed the Sabka Bima Sabki Raksha Bill, 2025, raising the foreign direct investment limit in Indian insurance companies from 74% to 100%. Maitree 2 Antarctic Station. India announced plans to establish its next-generation research station in East Antarctica by 2032. Aravalli protection. The Supreme Court accepted a new uniform definition for the Aravalli Range, classifying hills above 100 meters in height as part of the range to prevent regulatory loopholes. India-Russia Logistics Pact. President Vladimir Putin signed the Reciprocal Exchange of Logistics Support Pact into federal law, formalizing major military cooperation between India and Russia. India-UAE exercise. The Indian Army departed for the second edition of the Desert Cyclone Joint Military Exercise in the UAE. Naval aviation expansion. The Indian Navy commissioned its second MH-60R Seahawk helicopter squadron, INAS 335, nicknamed the Ospreys, at INS Hansa in Goa. Nepal currency update. Nepal officially lifted a decade-long ban on high-denomination Indian currency, Rs 200 and Rs 500 notes, allowing individuals to carry up to Rs 25,000. Apache fleet completion. the Indian Army received its final batch of 3 AH-64E Apache attack helicopters. It was developed by United States, completing its planned fleet of 6. HDFC Inducement Deal. The RBI approved HDFC Bank and its group entities to acquire up to 9.5% stake in Inducent Bank. ADB loan. The Asian Development Bank approved an USD 846 million loan, approximately Rs 7,000 crore, to India to upgrade ITIs and boost employability through the PMSET. NCDEX Mutual Fund Platform. SEBI granted in-principle approval to NCDEX to launch a dedicated mutual fund. Mayana Railway Station, located in Madhya Pradesh, it received the National Energy Conservation Award 2025 from President Draupadi Murmu. Filmfare OTT Awards. The web series Black Warrant was named the best series at the 2020 IPL auction news. In preparation for the 2026 season, Prashant Veer and Kartik Sharma became the joint most expensive uncapped players. A new species of snakehead fish named Chanabhoi was discovered in Meghalaya. Supreme Court Dowry Guidelines. The Supreme Court issued comprehensive new guidelines to strengthen enforcement against dowry-related violence, emphasizing that dowry violates constitutional rights under Articles 14, 15, and 21. Viksit Bharat Ji Ram Ji Bill, introduced in the Lok Sabha to replace MNREGA with a restructured rural employment framework focused on durable asset creation and climate resilience. India's first forest university, Uttar Pradesh announced the establishment of the country's first dedicated forest university in Gorakhpur to boost research in forestry and wildlife. AI Forest Alert System. Madhya Pradesh launched India's first AI-based real-time forest alert system to detect encroachment and deforestation using satellite data. Defence Estates Day. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh presided over the 100th anniversary celebrations of the Defence Estates Department in Delhi. India-Oman SEPA. India and Oman signed a comprehensive economic partnership agreement providing duty-free access for 99% of Indian exports to Oman. Relos Pact with Russia. President Vladimir Putin signed the Reciprocal Exchange of Logistics Support Pact with India into federal law, formalizing military logistics cooperation. India-Saudi Visa Waiver. India and Saudi Arabia signed a significant visa waiver agreement to strengthen their strategic partnership. Microsoft AI investment. CEO Satya Nadella announced a $17.5 billion investment in India over 4 years to develop AI infrastructure and an AI-ready workforce. Dhruv 64 microprocessor. India launched its first fully indigenous 1.0 GHz, 64-bit dual-core microprocessor, designed for technological self-reliance. Mayana Railway Station Award, awarded the National Energy Conservation Award 2025 for excellence in reducing electricity consumption. Diving Support Craft DSCA-20, the Indian Navy commissioned its first indigenously designed diving support craft at the naval base in Kochi. Filmfare OTT Awards 2025, the Netflix series Black Warrant emerged as the most awarded show at the ceremony held in Mumbai. World's wealthiest record, Forbes announced Elon Musk as the first person to reach a net worth of USD 677 billion USD, largely due to SpaceX's upcoming IPO. Ram Sutar, renowned sculptor and creator of the Statue of Unity, passed away at age 100. Ram Vilas Das Vedanti, former MP and Ram Janmabhoomi movement leader, passed away at 67. Shikhar Dhawan autobiography. Former cricketer Shikhar Dhawan released his autobiography, titled The One, Cricket, My Life, and More. Brazil transferred the BRICS presidency for 2026 to India. The Ministry of Rural Development proposed the Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission Bill, 2000. A new common logo for regional rural banks was revealed. Panduru Khadi from Andhra Pradesh was granted a GI tag. India observed the 64th anniversary of Goa's liberation. PM Narendra Modi received Ethiopia's highest civilian honor. India and Oman concluded a comprehensive economic partnership agreement. The presidents of the European Commission and European Council were named chief guests for India's 2026 Republic Day. The Indian Navy inaugurated its second MH-60R Seahawk squadron. The Indian Army commenced Exercise Desert Cyclone 2 with the UAE. The Navy commissioned its first domestically built diving support craft. Usman Idambal and Aiden Abanmati won top honors at the FIFA Best Football Awards. Cameron Green was acquired for a record sum in the IPL 2026 auction. Google introduced its Flex credit card in India. India ranked 104th in the Global Investment Risk and Resilience Index 2025, while Switzerland led. India-Oman CEPA signed. India and Oman concluded a comprehensive economic partnership agreement, CEPA, granting zero-duty access to 99% of India's PM Modi's 28th State Award. During his visit to Addis Ababa, PM Narendra Modi was conferred with the Great Honor Nishan of Ethiopia, making him the first global head of state to receive this award. U.S. National Security Strategy 2025, the U.S. published its new strategy, elevating India to the core 5 group of global powers alongside the U.S., China, Russia, and Japan. India-Russia Logistics. Russia institutionalized its reciprocal exchange of logistics support agreement with India, providing Indian forces institutional access to Russian-based BRICS Presidency. Brazil formally handed over the 2026 BRICS presidency to India. Shanti Bill, 2025, Parliament passed the Sustainable Harnessing and Advancement of Nuclear Energy for Transforming India, Shanti, Bill, which allows private participation in the nuclear sector and caps incident liability at Rs 3,000 crore. Securities Markets Code Bill. The Union Government introduced this bill to consolidate the SEBI Act, Depositories Act, and Securities Contracts Act into a single framework. VBG Ramji Bill Controversy. The new Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission, Gramin, Bill, which replaces MREGA, faced intense opposition protests in Parliament. Regional Rural Banks. The government unveiled a unified common logo for all 43 RRBs in India under the One RRB, One Logo initiative. DRUV 64 microprocessor. India launched its first fully indigenous 1.0 GHz, 64-bit dual-core microprocessor, developed by CDAC. China's wireless freight train. China successfully operated a convoy of 7 heavy-haul freight trains as a single unit using virtual coupling without physical attachments. NASA Space Apps Honor. An Indian team, Photonics Odyssey, won the Most Inspirational Award at the NASA Space Apps Challenge for their phased array satellite internet concept. Aravali Protection. The Supreme Court mandated a uniform definition for the Aravali Hills, heights above 100 meters, and ordered a Huron Global 1000. NVIDIA was ranked the world's most valuable company with a market capitalization of $4.63 trillion. Shriram Finance Mega Deal. Japan's MUFG acquired a 20% stake in Shriram Finance for $4.4 billion, the largest single foreign investment in India's financial sector. Annatto, that was recently seen in news. It is natural food color and flavoring agent. Kavak system has been developed by Research Designs and Standards Organization to develop automatic train protection system designed to improve railway operational safety across the Indian Railways network. ICGS SART hack, that was recently seen in news, is classified as offshore patrol vessel. Obituary: Ram Vanji Siddhar passes away, the renowned Indian sculptor and designer of the world's tallest statue, the Statue of Unity, passed away in Noida at the age of 100. India and Oman signed a Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, CEPA, with Oman allowing up to 50% Indian nationals in its workforce. The Union Home Ministry increased the reservation for ex-Agniveers in Group C posts within the Central Armed Police Force. Parliament passed the Shanti Bill, 2025, granting statutory status to the Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. The Supreme Court ruled that corporate social responsibility includes environmental responsibility as a constitutional. The Ministry of Textiles finalized detailed project reports for 3 greenfield PM Mitra textile parks in Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, and Gujarat. Parliament passed the Sabka Bima Sabki Raksha, Amendment of Insurance Laws, Bill, 2025, which increases the foreign direct investment limit in insurance companies to 100%. The Shanti Bill, 2025 was passed to reform nuclear governance, granting statutory status to the Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. Agniveer reservations. The Ministry of Home Affairs notified an increase in reservations for ex-Agniveers in the Central Armed Police Forces from 10% to 50% for Group C posts. First woman IMA graduate, Sai Jadhav became the first woman officer to pass out from the Indian military. Weather alerts. The IMD issued a red alert for dense to very dense fog across North India, particularly in Uttar Pradesh and Delhi. PM Modi's visit to Oman. Prime Minister Narendra Modi concluded his official visit to Oman, where he was conferred with the Order of Oman, the country's highest civilian honor. India-Oman CEPA. India and Oman signed a Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, offering Indian workers up to 50% employment concessions in Omani companies. BRICS presidency. Brazil formally handed over the BRICS presidency for 2026 to India. The U.S. military conducted over 70 airstrikes against ISIS in Syria, in response to a recent The European Union approved a €90 billion loan package for Ukraine for military and economic support. Japan and the Mercosur trade bloc have launched a strategic partnership framework to enhance trade and economic ties. SpaceX's recent satellite launch has raised concerns among scientists about the potential for orbital debris collisions. Nina Kalu, an artist with a learning disability, won the Turner Prize for her abstract sculptures and drawings. Google announced USD 8 million in funding for 4 AI centers of excellence in India. The Sabka Bima Sabki Raksha Bill, 2025, was passed, increasing the FDI limit in insurance companies to 100%. International Human Solidarity Day is observed globally on December 20 to emphasize unity and collective responsibility in fighting poverty. The BCCI announced India's squad for the 2026 T20 World Cup, with Suryakumar Yadav as captain and Aksa Patel as vice-captain. In the third test of the Ashes, Australia took a significant lead over England. White spot disease, that was recently seen in news, is caused by virus. Replacement of Mriga, President Draupadi Murmu gave her assent to the Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission. Parliament passed the Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission or VBGRAMG bill, officially replacing the 2025 Mriga. The new law increases guaranteed work from 100 to 125 days but shifts to a supply-driven model with a fixed budget. Nuclear Energy Law, the Shanti Act, Sustainable Harnessing and Advancement of Nuclear Energy for Transforming India, was enacted, replacing the Atomic Energy Act of 1962. It aims to achieve 100 gigawatt of nuclear capacity by 2047 and removes supplier liability, encouraging private and foreign investment in the sector. Bureau of Port Security, Union Home Minister Amit Shah chaired a meeting to establish Bureau of Port Security as a statutory body under the Merchant Shipping Act, 2025. Modeled after the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security, it will be led by an IPS officer. Space Innovation, the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Centre launched the Antarikshar Prayogshela initiative to build advanced space labs in select Indian colleges. Train fare hike, the Railway Ministry announced a fare increase effective December 26, 2025. Rates will rise by 1 paisa per km for ordinary classes and 2 paise per km for non-AC and AC classes. Water Innovation, the Union Ministry of Jal Shakti launched the Jal Shakti Hackathon 2025 and the Bharat WIN portal to promote scalable water solutions. The Bihar Cabinet approved the Sat Nishchay 3.0 program for 2025 to 2030, targeting the creation of 1 crore jobs for youth. In Maharashtra, civic poll results led to a recount order in Kamptee after a narrow BJP win. Australia's Day of Reflection. Australia declared December 21 as a National Day of Reflection to honour victims of the Sydney Bondi Beach terror attack that occurred on December 14. India-Netherlands cooperation, a new Memorandum of Understanding was signed to strengthen bilateral trade and investment, including the creation of a joint trade and investment committee. US Venezuela blockade, the U.S. intercepted a third oil tanker off the Venezuelan coast as part of a blockade to enforce sanctions, an act Venezuela condemned as international piracy. UK-US diplomatic call. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer held a call with US President Donald Trump to discuss the wars in Ukraine and Gaza, and announced Dr. Christian Turner. Bangladesh tensions. India suspended visa operations in Chittagong following the killing of a minority Hindu youth, expressing strong concern over the safety of minorities in Bangladesh. Hainan Island, that was recently seen in news, is located in China. RBI Risk-Based Insurance. The Reserve Bank of India approved a new risk-based deposit insurance framework. Banks with better asset quality and capital adequacy will now pay lower premiums compared to the previous flat-rate model. Microsoft AI investment. Microsoft announced a record $17.5 billion investment in India to build AI infrastructure and skill development programs. Rupee performance. The Indian rupee reached the 91 rupees per USD mark, primarily due to global trade uncertainties and high US. Winter solstice, December 21, 2025, marks the winter solstice in the Northern Hemisphere, the shortest day of the year. James Webb discovery. The James Webb Space Telescope identified a unique lemon-shaped exoplanet near a pole. Artemisinine resistance. Concerns were raised globally as reports emerged of malaria parasite resistance to artemisinin in parts of Africa, a trend previously seen in Southeast Asia. World Meditation Day. The second annual UN-designated World Meditation Day was observed, coinciding with the solstice to symbolize introspection. Environmental crisis. Cyclone Ditwa caused catastrophic floods and landslides in Sri Lanka, with the death toll rising above 600. Badminton. Indian pair Satvik Sairaj-Rankirti and Chirag Shetty won the bronze at the BWF World Tour Finals in Hangzhou. Football. East Bengal FC won the inaugural SAFF Women's Club Championship by defeating Nepal's APF 3-0 in the final. Geo-Parsi scheme is implemented by Ministry of Minority Affairs. Geo-Parsi is a central sector. National Mathematics Day, celebrated across India to honor the birth anniversary of the legendary mathematician Srinivasa Ramanujan. PMS Yoga Award 2025, 9 winners were honored for their outstanding contributions to the promotion and development of yoga. Ancient ritual discovery. Archaeologists in Mexico uncovered a cube-shaped human skull, suggesting previously undocumented cultural rituals. Gaganyaan progress. ISRO successfully completed another round of parachute system tests to ensure safe astronaut return for the upcoming human spaceflight mission. New species. Researchers identified 3 new species of Himalayan soil organisms in northeast India and a new flowering plant in the western Ghats Shola grasslands. Placental research. Scientists at Flinders University announced a breakthrough identifying molecular markers in the placenta that could help predict and prevent stillbirths. Discovery of lemon-shaped exoplanet. The James Webb Space Telescope detected a highly unusual, lemon-shaped exoplanet approximately 2,000 light-years away, orbiting near a pulsar. Antarik Share Prayog Shaila. Space Labs in Space launched an initiative to establish advanced space laboratories in selected Indian academic institutions to provide hands-on training to students. First wheelchair user in space. Michaela Benthouse is set to become the world's first wheelchair user to travel to space via a Blue Origin mission. Assam Fertilizer Project. Prime Minister Narendra Modi laid the foundation stone for a Rs 10.601 crore ammonia urea plant in Dibrugarh, Assam, with the commissioning target of 2030. Smooth-coated otter conservation. The Tamil Nadu government launched a specialized initiative in the Kaveri Delta to protect smooth-coated otters. Bihar Sat Nishchay 3. The Bihar Cabinet approved the 7 Resolves 3.0 program, 2025 to 2030, targeting 1 crore jobs for youth over the next 5 years. Bureau of Port Security. A meeting chaired by Union Home Minister Amit Shah progressed the setup of BOPs to secure Indian vessels and port facilities. Viksit Bharat Bill. The President also approved the Viksit Bharat GRAMG Bill, focusing on rural governance and development frameworks. Supreme Court Special Sitting. CJI Surya Kant and Justice Joy Malya Bagchi held a special vacation sitting to address urgent matters during the winter break. Metro expansion. The Bhopal Metro was officially inaugurated, with operations beginning on the Orange Line. Assam Infrastructure. PM Modi inaugurated a new terminal building at the Lokapriya Gopinath Bardaloi International Airport in Guwahati. Cricket. Women's T20 Smriti Mandhana became the first Indian woman cricketer to surpass 4,000 runs in T20 internationals during a match against Sri Lanka in Visakhapatnam. U19 Asia Cup. Pakistan defeated India by 191 runs in the final held in Dubai. Golf. Noida Sukhman Singh won the IGU 124th Amateur Golf Championship of India at the Taligunj Club in Kolkata. FIFA Arab Cup 2025. Morocco secured the title by defeating Jordan in the final. Australia's Day of Reflection. December 21 was observed as a day of reflection in Australia to honour victims of the Sydney Bondi Beach terror attack. India-Argentina Agriculture Plan. Both nations signed a bilateral work plan for 2025-27 to enhance agricultural cooperation. BRICS presidency handover. During the 4th BRICS Sherpas meeting in Brasilia, Brazil symbolically handed over the BRICS presidency to India, effective January 1, 2026. India-Bangladesh security. The Indian Visa Application Centre in Chattogram suspended operations indefinitely due to security concerns near the Assistant High Commission. EU trade stalls. The European Union's major free trade pact with Mercosur, Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, Paraguay, faced new delays over concerns from member states regarding domestic farming. ASEAN diplomacy. The ASEAN Secretary-General met with Vietnam's Deputy Foreign Minister to discuss escalating tensions between Cambodia and largest financial FDI. Shriram Finance Limited signed a pact with Japan's MUFG Bank, which will acquire a 20% stake for Rs 39,618 crore, marking the single largest FDI in India's financial services sector. Risk-based deposit insurance. The RBI approved a new framework for banks to pay deposit insurance premiums based on their risk profile, capital adequacy and asset quality. Japan interest rates. The Bank of Japan raised interest rates to 0.75%, a 30-year high, triggering potential shifts in global carry trades. Rupee performance. The Indian rupee breached the 90 mark against the US dollar in December, impacting foreign travel and education costs. Kisan Diwas. National Farmers' Day celebrated annually on December 23 to honor the birth anniversary of India's 5th Prime Minister, Chaudhry Charan Singh, a champion for farmers' rights. Aravalli Hills redefinition. The Ministry of Environment recently updated the definition of the Aravalli Range, now classifying only landforms rising 100 meters or more above local relief as part of the range. This has sparked debate over potential ecological risks and the exclusion of large areas in Rajasthan and Haryana from protection. Viksit Bharat Gram JEE Act, 2025. President Draupadi Murmu has given assent to this bill, which replaces MNREGA. Key changes include increasing the statutory employment guarantee from 100 to 125 days and focusing on climate-resilient rural infrastructure. Sashastra Seema Bal, SSB, Raising Day. Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended greetings to the SSB, which was originally established in 1963 as the Special Service Bureau. ISROL VM3M6 mission, scheduled for launch on December 24, 2025. This commercial mission will carry the Bluebird Block 2 satellite for the U.S.-based AST Space Mobile. Gaganyaan progress. ISRO successfully completed qualification tests for the drogue parachutes at the RTRS facility in Chandigarh. These parachutes are critical for stabilizing and decelerating the crew module during its 2027 mission. India-New Zealand FTA. Negotiations for a free trade agreement have concluded, aiming to double bilateral trade to $5 billion within 5 years. New Zealand has committed to investing $20 billion in India over 15 years. Shanti Act, 2025. This new act replaces the Atomic Energy Act of 1962, opening India's civil nuclear sector to private players and joint ventures for the first time. Ethanol blending. India reached a milestone of 20% ethanol blending in petrol as of November 2025, significantly ahead of the original 2030 target. SAFF Women's Club Championship. East Bengal FC made history by winning the inaugural edition in Kathmandu, defeating Nepal's APF 3-0. Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy. Jharkhand clinched their first ever title in the 2025-26 edition, becoming the 12th team to win India's premier domestic T20 tournament. Asian Youth Para Games 2025. The Games concluded recently in Dubai. India ranked 7th overall with a total of 102 medals. U.S. Greenland Strategy. U.S. President Donald Trump has reasserted that Greenland is vital for national security, appointing a special envoy to lead strategic engagement with the island. Trump-class battleships. The U.S. has announced plans to develop a new class of heavily armed warships, designated the Trump class, as part of a maritime modernization push. Bangladesh unrest. Violent protests continue in Bangladesh following the killing of a student leader and a Hindu youth. The UN has expressed deep concern over the safety of minorities. Pakistan-Libya defense deal. Pakistan secured one of its largest ever arms export agreements, a $4 billion deal to supply military equipment to Libyan forces. Australian security. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese criticised Israeli PM Netanyahu while reaffirming support for Palestinian recognition following a major security incident at Bondi Beach. Oman country has launched its first polymer 1 Rial banknote that will circulate from January 11, 2023. RBI liquidity infusion. The Reserve Bank of India announced measures to infuse $32 billion of liquidity into the banking system to support year-end stability. New investment for India. Following the conclusion of the FTA, New Zealand committed to investing $20 billion into India over the next 15 years, primarily in Taj brand in Egypt. The Indian Hotels Company, IHCL, signed a deal to manage the historic Continental Hotel in Cairo, marking the debut of the Taj brand in Precious metals surge. Gold and silver prices reached new all-time highs globally, driven by geopolitical tensions and expectations of interest rate cuts. Crypto market downturn. Approximately $1.3 trillion in crypto market value has been wiped out recently as Bitcoin enters a sustained bear. FDA weight loss pill. The US FDA has approved a new weight loss pill from Novo Nordisk, marking a significant milestone in metabolic health treatments. Comet Shaumasay. Early morning observers can currently see Comet Shaumasay, 11th magnitude. Cybersecurity warning. India's IT Ministry warned against a new ghost pairing campaign used to hijack WhatsApp and Telegram accounts through social engineering. Solar geoengineering. Investors are pouring millions into firms like Stardust Solutions, which aim to limit global warming by reflecting sunlight into space. Assam Infrastructure. PM Modi inaugurated the new nature-themed terminal at Guwahati's Lokapriya Gopinath Bardoloi International Airport. Jharkhand Gig Workers. Jharkhand has approved the Platform-Based Gig Workers Act, 2025, becoming a first mover in providing social security to delivery and logistics workers. Auroville status. A parliamentary panel has recommended granting the Auroville Foundation, Puducherry, the status of an institution of national importance. Shanya Se Shatak program held in Indore to mark Atal Bihari Vajpayee birth centenary on December 21, 2025. Chilakalan, that was recently seen in news, mainly occurs in Kashmir. Chilakalan is a 40-day period of the harshest winter cold starting December 21 and ending January 30. Tamil Nadu government launched a conservation initiative to protect the smooth-coated otter in the Kaveri River Delta. On December 22, 2025, 19-year-old Sukhman Singh won the IGU, Indian Golf Union, 100. RBI liquidity injection. The Reserve Bank of India announced an injection of Rs 2.90 lakh crore into the banking system to manage liquidity requirements. Startup ecosystem. India's startup landscape saw a valuation reset, with only 5 startups Den, Jumbotail, Drools, Porter, and Juspay achieving unicorn status, valuation over $1 billion, in 2025. Defense advancements. India successfully conducted the maiden flight test of the Pinaka long-range guided rocket, significantly boosting indigenous artillery capabilities. Job Guarantee Scheme renamed. The West Bengal government officially renamed its state job guarantee scheme to Mahatma Shri. India-New Zealand FTA. India concluded a landmark free trade agreement with New Zealand, allowing for duty-free entry of Indian goods and aiming to attract $20 billion in investments over 15 years. Japan nuclear restart. Japan took final steps to restart the Kashiwazaki-Kariwa nuclear plant, the world's largest, nearly 15 years after the Fukushima. ISRO satellite launch. ISRO successfully launched the U.S. Bluebird Block 2 satellite using its LVM-3 Bahubali rocket. NASA Maven loss. NASA reported it has lost contact with the Mars atmosphere and volatile evolution spacecraft, which had been studying the Martian atmosphere for over a decade. Chinese space safety. Debris reportedly struck the Chinese crewed vehicle Shenzhou 20, causing a minor crack in its return capsule window and raising concerns about orbital debris. Chilakalan begins. The period of severe 40-day winter, known as Chilakalan, began in Kashmir. Pulwama recorded a temperature of 3.2 degrees C during this onset. Kisan Diwas, December 23. While reported on the 24th, the previous day was celebrated as National Farmers' Day to honor the birth anniversary of Chaudhry Charan Singh. National Consumer Day 2025, observed on December 24 with the theme Efficient and Speedy Disposal Through Digital Justice. Aravalli Hills definition. The Supreme Court approved a new height-based definition for the Aravalli Hills, recognizing only landforms 100 meters or more above local terrain as hills. This has sparked environmental concerns regarding the potential loss of protection for low-lying tracts. Jhansi as 23rd District. The Haryana government officially notified Jhansi as the state's 23rd district, carved out from the Hisar district to improve administrative decentralization. VBG Ramji Act, the Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission, Gramin, Act, 2025, received presidential assent, officially replacing the MREGA. It guarantees 125 days of wage employment per rural household. Aid to Sri Lanka. India announced a $450 million reconstruction package, including a $100 million grant, to help Sri Lanka recover from the devastation caused by Cyclone Daitwa. H-1B visa changes. The U.S. administration moved to end the H-1B visa lottery system in favor of a selection process based on skills and salary, impacting thousands of Indian tech applicants. WTO dispute. China filed a fresh complaint against India at the World Trade Organization challenging India's solar subsidies and tariff measures. Blue-collar AI assistant. Researchers from IIT Delhi, in collaboration with institutions in Denmark and Germany, launched AILA, Artificially Intelligent Lab Assistant, an AI agent capable of independent Next-Gen Akash Missile. DRDO successfully completed user evaluation trials for the Akash-NG, next-generation, missile system, which is lighter and faster than previous variants. Maritime Environmental Protection. The Indian Coast Guard inducted its first indigenously designed pollution control vessel, Samudra Pratap, built by Goa Shipyard Limited. Largest circular labyrinth. Archaeologists discovered India's largest circular stone labyrinth in the Boromani grasslands of Solapur, Maharashtra, dating back nearly 2,000 years. New species in Sikkim. Scientists from the Zoological Survey of India discovered Nelis sikkimensis, a new species of tiny, soil-dwelling microarthropod, in the high-altitude regions of Sikkim. Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar 2025, President Draupadi Murmu presented the awards, including the Vigyan Ratna, Lifetime Achievement, Smriti Mandhana record. She became the first Asian batter to cross 4,000 runs in women's 20. U19 Asia Cup. Pakistan won the ACC Men's U19 Asia Cup 2025 by defeating India by 109. The Financial Fraud Risk Indicator was launched by Department of Telecommunications. The Mars Atmosphere and Volatile Evolution mission was launched by National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Good Governance Day. December 25, India observed Good Governance Day to commemorate the birth anniversary of former PM Atal Bihari Vajpayee. On this occasion, President Murmu released the first OL Chakhi translation of the Constitution of India in Santhali. Japan restarts nuclear power. Japan officially restarted the world's largest nuclear power plant, Kashiwazaki-Kariwa, for the first time since the 2011 Fukushima shutdown. Armenia's 17 Colombian pesos logo. Armenia introduced the official butterfly logo for the 17 Colombian pesos conference scheduled for Economic milestone. India emerged as the world's fourth largest economy with a GDP of $4.18 trillion, overtaking Japan. Projections indicate it is on track to surpass Germany by 2030. DRDO successfully conducted the maiden flight test of the Pinaka long-range guided rocket. ISRO successfully launched the U.S. Bluebird Block 2 satellite into orbit using the LVM-3 Bahubali rocket. Smriti Mandhana became the second Indian woman to reach 10,000 international runs. Sonam Yashay of Bhutan scripted history with an 8-wicket haul in a men's T20 international, a first in the format's history. Konaru Humpy and Arjun Irugase won bronze at the FIDE World Rapid Chess Championships in Doha. Australia announced it will remove all tariffs on Indian exports starting January 1, 2000 AS. Israel recognized Somaliland as an independent state and announced the Israel Prize for Peace for U.S. President Donald Trump. Obituary: Bangladesh's former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia passed away on December 30, 2025, marking the end of a major political era. Forever Chemicals Neutralization: researchers at Rice University announced a new technology that captures and destroys PFAS, forever chemicals, in water hundreds of times faster than existing methods, effective even in wastewater. Epilepsy treatment breakthrough: a study released on December 25 suggests that temporal lobe epilepsy may be linked to the aging of certain brain cells. Removing these senescent cells in mice led to a significant drop in seizures and improved memory. Deep-sea heat spots: new climate data published on Christmas Day warned that expanding deep ocean heat reservoirs, particularly in the Caribbean and near the Philippines, are fueling more frequent storms exceeding Category 5 intensity. Supreme Court on dowry: the Supreme Court delivered a landmark judgment terming the dowry system a cross-cultural social evil incompatible with constitutional values of dignity and equality, calling for immediate reforms in school curriculums and the appointment of dedicated dowry prohibition officers. Aravali mining ban: the Ministry of Environment officially enforced a Supreme Court order banning all new mining leases across the entire Aravali range, from Delhi to Gujarat, to protect it as a continuous ecological system. New P&NG Rules 2025, the government notified the Petroleum and Natural Gas Rules, 2025, which introduced a single lease system for oil fields to simplify operations and attract global investment. Q-Mark Quality Reforms: the Quality Council of India, QCI, introduced the QR-coded Q-Mark-Kahak to allow citizens to verify the quality and accreditation of hospitals and laboratories instantly. India-Sri Lanka relief: India announced a $450 million relief package for Sri Lanka to support its continued economic recovery and regional. Global higher education demand: Bhutan and Morocco officially requested India to establish IIT campuses in their countries, following the model of campuses in Zanzibar and the UAE. Interstellar visitor: astronomers tracked the interstellar comet 3I/Atlas as it made its closest approach to Earth in late December 2025. Galdan Namchat, December 25 in Ladakh, the festival of Galdan Namchat was celebrated to mark the birthday and enlightenment of the Tibetan scholar JEE Tsongkhapa. Monasteries across the region were illuminated with butter lamps. Nandikar Theatre Festival. The 41st National Theatre Festival concluded its major shows in Kolkata, featuring 15 major productions. New airline approvals. The Ministry of Civil Aviation granted no objection certificates to 2 new airlines, Al Hind Air and Fly Express, expected to launch operation. NetGrid integration. The Government of India linked the National Intelligence Grid to the National Population Register to enhance security monitoring and data integration. Infrastructure growth. The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs approved the doubling of the Bhakti-Yarpur-Rajgarh-Tilai railway line in Bihar, covering 4 districts including aspirational districts Gaya and Nawada. Education regulation. The Central Consumer Protection Authority fined Vision IAS for misleading advertisements regarding UPSC exam results. Ballistic missile test. India successfully tested the K-4 intermediate-range ballistic missile from the nuclear-powered submarine INS Arayat in the Bay of Bengal. The missile has a strike range of 3,500 kilometers. Direct-to-mobile satellite. The Bluebird Block 2 satellite was launched to enable global direct-to-mobile 4G and 5G connectivity. Indigenous technology. Bengaluru-based startup Voxel Grids unveiled India's first fully indigenous MRI scanner, marking a milestone in medical technology self-reliance. Kimberley Process Leadership. It was announced that India will serve as the chair of the Kimberley Process, an international initiative against conflict diamonds, starting January 1, 2026. Environment and biodiversity. Armenia introduced an official butterfly logo for the upcoming 17 Colombian Pesos Conference. Economic agreements. Australia confirmed it will remove tariffs on 100% of Indian exports beginning January 1, 2026, under the India-Australia Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement. Sports leadership. 2-time Olympic medalist PV Sindhu was elected chair of the BWF Athletes Commission for the 2026 to Youth Awards. Cricketer Vaibhav Suryavanshi was among the recipients of the Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Bal Santhali Constitution. President Draupadi Murmu released the Constitution of India in the Santhali language at Rashtrapati Bhavan to increase legal accessibility for tribal populations. Veer Bal Diwas. A national-level program was held at Bharat Mandapam, New Delhi, where PM Modi addressed the youth to commemorate the martyrdom of the Sahibzadas. Atal Canteen Scheme. The Delhi government launched this scheme to provide subsidized meals at 5 rupees per plate across 100 locations, targeting daily wage laborers and the urban poor. Anti-Terror Conference. Union Home Minister Amit Shah inaugurated a 2-day National Anti-Terror Conference organized by the National Investigation Agency in New Delhi. Rolling Budget System. Madhya Pradesh became the first state to decide on adopting a rolling budget system starting from FY 2026 to 27 to improve long-term fiscal planning. AI Lab Assistant. Researchers at IIT Delhi, in collaboration with European scientists, developed Artificially Intelligent Lab Assistant, an AI agent capable of independently conducting complex scientific experiments. Cancer Therapy Breakthrough. An IISc Bangalore-led team received global attention for developing magnetic nanobots designed for targeted drug delivery to hard-to-reach tumors. Tsunami Preparedness. India is on track to become the first nation in the Indian Ocean region to have 100 coastal villages officially recognized American Samoa tsunami ready by UNESCO. Solar Milestone. Gujarat emerged as the national leader in rooftop solar capacity, achieving a total of 1,879 megawatt. Israel Somaliland recognition. Israel became the first nation to officially recognize Somaliland as an independent state, 34 years after its breakaway from Somalia. U.S. military action. The United States conducted a precision airstrike against Islamic State militants in North. Diplomatic tensions. The Ministry of External Affairs expressed strong concern to Bangladesh regarding the killing of a Hindu youth, urging the interim government to ensure the safety of minorities. Nepal appointment. Lt Gen Balananda Sharma was sworn in as Nepal's new foreign minister. Cricket records. In the Vijay Hazare Trophy, Virat Kohli became the fastest player to reach 16,000 List A runs, surpassing Sachin Tendulkar. Chess League. The Alpine SG Pipers, led by R. Pragnanandha, clinched the 2025 Global Chess League Season 3 title in Mumbai. Open Air Theatre. The world's largest open-air theatre festival, Dhanuyatra, commenced in Bargarh, Odisha, reenacting the life of Lord Krishna. Rashtrapuranist Hill inauguration. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Rashtrapuranist Hill in Lucknow. Spread over 65 acres, this memorial honors former PM Atal Bihari Vajpayee and features 65-foot-high bronze statues of Vajpayee, Syama Prasad Mukherjee, and Deen Dayal Upadhyaya. Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. The flagship rural connectivity scheme marked 25 years of service. Santhali Constitution. President Draupadi Murmu released the Constitution of India in the Santhali language, aimed at promoting linguistic. Aviation sector expansion. The Government of India approved 3 new airlines following a crisis in the industry involving major carriers like Indigo. K-4 missile test. India successfully test-fired the K-4 intermediate-range ballistic missile, 3,500 km range, from a nuclear-powered submarine. INS Sindhughose decommissioned. The Indian Navy decommissioned the Kilo-class submarine INS Sindhughose. North Korea missile test. Kim Jong-un oversaw the launch of a new long-range anti-aircraft missile. Moon power plant. Russia announced plans to construct a nuclear power plant on the Moon by 2036. Largest circular stone labyrinth. Archaeologists discovered India's largest circular stone labyrinth in Maharashtra's Solapur district. Deep-sea mining. Japan began testing methods to mine rare earth mud from the deep seabed near Minami-Dorishima. Wildlife conservation. The Bombay Natural History Society, BNHS, tagged 15 long-billed vultures at the Melghat Tiger Reserve for conservation tracking. NABARD Thematic Funds. NABARD announced the upcoming launch of 2 new funds in January 2026, the Rs 1,000 crore Green Impact Fund and the Rs. National Youth Awards. 14-year-old Vaibhav Suryavanshi was honored with the Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Bal Puraskar for his achievements. India as Kimberley Process Vice Chair. India officially assumed the role of Vice Chair of the Kimberley Process for 2025. It will take over the full chairpersonship from the UAE on January 1, 2026, working to curb the trade of conflict diamonds. Israel-Somaliland recognition. In a significant diplomatic shift, Israel formally recognized Somaliland as an independent state. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced cooperation in technology and agriculture, aligning with the spirit of the Abraham Accords. India-Sri Lanka aid. Following devastation from Cyclone Daitwa, India announced a $450 million humanitarian and reconstruction assistance package for Sri Lanka. International Day of Epidemic Preparedness. The UN observed the 6th International Day of Epidemic Preparedness on December 27. Urban malaria threat. A 2025 technical report flagged the invasive mosquito Anopheles stephensi as a major threat to India's 2030 malaria elimination goal, as it thrives in urban centres like Delhi. New species discovery. Scientists from the Zoological Survey of India discovered a new soil-dwelling microarthropod species, Nilus sikkimensis, in the high-altitude regions of Sikkim. PV Sindhu BWF election. Indian badminton star PV Sindhu was elected chair of the Badminton World Federation Athletes Commission for the 2026 to 2000. Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar. President Draupadi Murmu presented the 2025 Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar at Rashtrapati Bhavan, honoring seminal contributions. Cricket milestone. Young cricketer Vaibhav Suryavanshi was conferred the Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Bal Puraskar following his record-breaking performance. Hockey India Junior Championships. On Day 3 of the 3rd Hockey India Junior Men Academy Championship, Guman Hero Risers Academy and Round Glass Hockey Academy were among those securing major victories. UPI Auto Pay Management. The NPCI launched a centralized portal upahelp.npci.org.in allowing users to manage or revoke all UPI Auto Pay instructions from a single platform. Unclaimed savings return. The Finance Ministry reported returning Rs 2,000 crore in unclaimed financial assets to rightful owners as part of the Your Money, Your Right initiative. Tiger State status. Gujarat has officially regained its Tiger State status after 33 years, following the National Tiger Conservation Authority's confirmation of tiger presence in the state. Environmental protection. The Parvati Arga Bird Sanctuary in Gonda, Uttar Pradesh, has been declared an eco-sensitive zone with a Maritime infrastructure. India is on track to have over 100 tsunami-ready villages, making it the first country in the Indian Ocean region to reach this UNESCO-certified milestone. Fuel retail expansion. India's total fuel retail network has crossed 1 lakh outlets, with Indian Oil Corporation Limited leading the market. BWF Athletes Commission. Indian badminton star PV Sindhu was elected as the chairperson of the BWF Athletes Commission for the 2026 to 2029 term. National Badminton Championships. Surya Karishma Tamirai secured the women's singles title at the 87th Senior National Badminton Championships held in Vijayawada. Corporate leadership. B. Sairam was appointed as the Chief Executive Officer of Coal India Limited. Sri Lanka assistance. India announced a $450 million reconstruction package, comprising $350 million in credit and $100 million in grants, to help Sri Lanka recover from the impacts of Cyclone Daitwa. Defense research. The National Test House signed an MOU with DRDO's DMSRDE to collaborate on advanced material research. Technology in law enforcement. An AI-powered database designed to curb organized crime and terrorism was launched. Industrial hemp. Himachal Pradesh has officially commenced the cultivation of industrial hemp. Indigenous technology. Voxel Grids developed India's first indigenously built MRI scanner, marking shipbuilding. New shipbuilding clusters were announced for several coastal states to promote green innovation and position India among the top 5 shipbuilding. Ukraine Peace Plan. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky unveiled a 20-point peace plan aimed at ending the Russia-Ukraine war, featuring security guarantees equivalent to NATO Article 5 and a timeline for EU membership. Israel Peace Prize. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced that Donald Trump will be awarded the Israel Prize for Peace, the country's highest civilian honor. India-France defense. The two nations signed an agreement for the indigenous production of the Sigma-30 NNCM. Russia-UK sanctions. The United Kingdom imposed new sanctions on Russia's GRU and military officers following a public inquiry into the 2018 Salisbury Novichok attack. Deep-sea mining. Japan announced the start of a world-first continuous test mining operation to extract rare earth mud from the seabed at a depth of 6,000 meters off Minami Torai Island. Space exploration. Scientists detected the most distant supernova ever seen using the James Webb Space Telescope, originating when the universe was less than 1 billion years old. Nuclear reform. Union Minister Jitendra Singh termed the Shanti Bill as India's biggest science reform, aimed at doubling nuclear power capacity and unlocking clean energy potential. Medical discovery. A new study linked disrupted sleep cycles, such as those from night shifts or frequent time zone travel, to a higher risk of aggressive breast cancer. Billionaire wealth shifts. 2025 saw dramatic wealth changes in India. Mukesh Ambani added $16.5 billion to his net worth, while Shiv Nadda faced a reduction of nearly $4 Economic outlook. India's real GDP grew by 8.2% in Q2 FY25 to 26, a six-quarter high, positioning the country as the world's fourth largest economy. Intellectual property surge. India saw a record 1.1 lakh patent applications filed in FY25, with domestic applicants accounting for 62% of the total. IPO paradox. Despite a record year for initial public offerings, overall public equity fundraising in India dropped by 18% in 2025 to Rs 3.06 lakh crore. Delhi air quality. On December 28, Delhi recorded a hazardous AQI of 530, making it the most polluted major city globally that morning. New species. Scientists from the Zoological Survey of India discovered a new soil-dwelling microarthropod, Nelis sikkimensis, in the high-altitude regions of Sikkim. Global festivals. Major events concluded or peaked on December 28, including the AP Dhillon India Tour and various regional festivals like the Hornbill Festival. Memorials. December 28 marked the Day of Remembrance for victims of the deportation of the Kalmyks in Russia. FIDE World Rapid Championships. Magnus Carlsen, men's, and Alexandra Goryachkina, women's, won the 2025 titles in Doha, Qatar. India's Arjun Irugase and Konaru Humpy both secured bronze medals. Cricket milestone. Bhutan's left-arm spinner Sonam Yashay made history as the first bowler to take an 8-wicket haul in a men's T20 international. Senior National Badminton Championship. Rithvik Sanjeev IAS won the men's singles title, while Surya Karishma Tamarai claimed the women's singles title. Global Chess League. The Alpine SG Pipers, led by Ramesh Babu Pragnanand Howe, won Season 3 after defeating the Triveni contest. Global conflicts. Thailand and Cambodia agreed to a ceasefire following recent border clashes. Diplomatic recognition. Israel officially recognized Somaliland as an independent state. Military drills. China launched a large-scale military encirclement exercise near Taiwan. Anti-terror policy. India is developing a new uniform anti-terror framework focused on digital radicalization and open border security. Shipbuilding schemes. The Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways released guidelines for the Shipbuilding Financial Assistance Scheme and the Shipbuilding Development Scheme to boost domestic capacity. Aviation Assistance. The Ministry of Civil Aviation launched the Passenger Assistance Control Room at Udan Bhawan, New Delhi, to expedite passenger grievance redressal. Nuclear energy. The Lok Sabha passed the Shanti Bill, Sustainable Harnessing and Advancement of Nuclear Energy for Transforming India, intended to overhaul the nation's nuclear sector. Medical innovation. India's first indigenous 1.5 Tesla MRI scanner was highlighted after a 12-year research effort, reducing reliance on imported equipment. ISRO developments. President Draupadi Murmu visited the INS Vaghir submarine at Karwar Harbour. The vessel is slated for commissioning in January 2025. Space cooperation. Iran launched 3 satellites using Russian Soyuz rockets. Wildlife conservation. The Parvati Arga Bird Sanctuary in Uttar Pradesh has been declared a Ramsar site in a 10 km eco-sensitive zone. Bangladesh crisis. Bangladesh High Commissioner Riaz Hamidullah was urgently recalled to Dhaka amid strained bilateral ties with India. Former PM Khaleda Zia is reported to be in extremely critical condition. Myanmar elections. Anti-junta rebel groups expressed dissatisfaction with India's response to Myanmar's phased general elections, which began on December 28. Russia-Ukraine conflict. The Kremlin accused Ukraine of a long-range drone strike targeting President Putin's residence in Novgorod Oblast. Ukraine has refuted the claim, warning it may be used to justify retaliatory strikes on government buildings in Kyiv. Japan deep-sea mining. Japan announced plans to conduct the world's first continuous deep-sea test mining for rare earth mud at a depth of 6,000 meters in January 2026. State appointments. Senior IAS officer Anu Garg has been appointed as Odisha's first woman chief secretary, effective January 1, 2026. National health. Home Minister Amit Shah noted a 97% drop in malaria cases in India. Aviation expansion. The Ministry of Civil Aviation granted no objection certificates to 3 new domestic airlines, Al Hind Air, Fly Express, and Shank Air. Assam infrastructure. The Assam Cabinet approved Rs 115 crore for road widening and construction Indianagar by Anglong. Fuel infrastructure. India emerged as the world's third-largest fuel retail market, with its petrol pump. Fuel infrastructure. India emerged as the world's third-largest fuel retail market, with its petrol pump network crossing 1 lakh outlets. Market regulations. SEBI doubled the monetary threshold for simplified documentation for duplicate securities. Forex reserves. India's foreign exchange reserves rose by $4.36 billion, reaching a near-record high of $693.3 billion. Stock market. The BSE Bank X index was reconstituted, adding Canara Bank, AU Small Finance Bank, PNB. Astronomy. Indian astronomers discovered Alananda, a fully developed spiral galaxy formed just 1.5 billion years after the Big Bang, challenging existing galaxy formation models. Space debris. Concerns over orbital safety rose after debris damaged a window of China's crewed Shenzhou 20 spacecraft. Wildlife. The National Tiger Conservation Authority, NTCA, declared Gujarat a tiger state again after 33 years following a tiger's stable 10-month presence in the state. Industrial hemp. Himachal Pradesh legalized the regulated cultivation of industrial hemp under the Green to Gold initiative. Cricket leadership. Vaibhav Suryavanshi was named captain of the India U19 team for the upcoming World Cup. Hall of Fame. Former Australian fast bowler Brett Lee was officially inducted into the Australian Cricket Hall of Fame. Pakistan Cricket. Senior players Babar Azam, Shaheen Afridi and Mohammad Rizwan will miss the T20 series against Sri Lanka to fulfill Big Bash League commitments. Pinaka rocket success. The DRDO successfully conducted the maiden flight test of the 120 km Pinaka long-range guided rocket, significantly boosting India's indigenous artillery power. Paramrajra supercomputer. A new Paramrajra supercomputer was launched at IIT Patna in Bihar under the National Supercomputing Mission. INSV Kundanya maiden voyage. The Indian naval sailing vessel Kundanya began its maiden voyage to Oman, a move intended to revive India's ancient maritime seafaring heritage. Defence acquisitions. The Defence Acquisition Council cleared defence acquisitions worth Rs 79. GDP rankings. India has officially emerged as the world's fourth largest economy with a GDP of $4.18 trillion, overtaking Japan. Liquidity boost. The RBI conducted a Rs 50,000 crore open market operation to stabilize and state leadership. Senior IAS officer Anu Garg is set to become Odisha's first woman chief secretary, effective January 1, 2000. Right to passport. The Supreme Court of India reaffirmed that the right to a passport is an integral part of personal liberty. Bangladesh. Former Prime Minister and BNP chairperson Khaleda Zia passed away, marking the end of a major political era in Bangladesh. Israel Prize for Peace. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced that Donald Trump will be conferred with Israel's Iran satellite launch. Iran launched 3 indigenous satellites into low Earth orbit using Russian Soyuz rockets. Australia-India deal. Australia will eliminate customs duties on 100% of tariff lines for Indian exports starting January 1, 2026. Cricket. Smriti Mandhana became the second Indian woman, and fourth woman globally, to surpass T20 record. Bhutanese bowler Sonam Yashay created history by taking 8 wickets for 7 runs in a T20 match against Myanmar, the first 8-wicket haul in men's T20. Chess. Konru Humpy and Arjun Irigasi won bronze medals at the FIDE World Rapid Chess Championships 2025 in Doha. GI tags. The Naraspuram lacecraft of Andhra Pradesh was recently highlighted for receiving its geographical indication tag. The National Frequency Allocation Plan 2025 has come into effect, preparing India for its 6G rollout. A Central Environment Panel has approved the 260 MW Dulhasti Stage 2 hydroelectric project on the Chenab River. The Supreme Court recently stayed a new definition of the Aravalli Hills, preventing new mining leases without its approval to protect the environment. The Bureau of Indian Standards has introduced India's first standards for agar battis and bomb disposal systems. An Indian startup, Voxel Grids, has developed the country's first indigenous MRI scanner. Prime Minister Modi expressed concern over reports of a drone attack targeting Russian President Vladimir Putin's residence. The Israeli Knesset voted to endorse a Gaza peace plan. Outgoing U.S. President Donald Trump met with Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu to discuss a ceasefire plan for Gaza and issued a warning to Iran. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres released his New Year message in Hindi, calling for prioritizing development. Malaysia announced that the search for Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 will resume today. Gujarat has approved the establishment of the Indian AI Research Organisation in Gift City, Gandhinagar. Forecasters have listed the Los Angeles wildfires, Jan 2025, as the world's costliest wildfire event. The Hong Kong Green Building Council has achieved 100 Zero Carbon Ready building certifications. McLaren's Lando Norris has won his first Formula One World Drivers' Championship. Sudarshan Patnaik created a world record-breaking Santa Claus sand sculpture. ISRO milestone: the Indian Space Research Organisation successfully conducted a ground test for the upgraded third stage of the Small Satellite Launch Vehicle, marking a major leap in India's small satellite launch capabilities. Healthcare regulation: the Union Health Ministry has officially banned oral nimesulide formulations exceeding 100 mg due to potential health risks, effective December 31, 2025. Defense achievements: the DRDO recently completed a successful flight test of the 120 km Pinaka long-range guided rocket, significantly boosting India's long-range artillery power. Economic milestone: projections indicate India has become the world's fourth largest economy with a GDP of $4.18 trillion, overtaking Japan, and is on track to surpass Germany by 2030. Cricket record: Indian all-rounder Deepti Sharma became the highest wicket-taker in women's T20 internationals during the 5th T20 match held on December 31, 2025. Para swimming: JEE Rai became the youngest para swimmer in the world to successfully cross the English Channel. Israel honors: Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced that U.S. President Donald Trump will be conferred the Israel Prize for Peace, the country's highest civilian honor, following recent high-level talks. Bangladesh politics: the death of former Prime Minister and BNP chairperson Khaleda Zia on December 30, 2025, has been noted as the end of a major political era in Bangladesh. North Korea military: North Korea reported the test firing of strategic long-range cruise missiles to showcase combat readiness at the end of December 2025. Rohtesgarh Fort: this historical site, recently featured in news due to nearby construction activity, is located in the state of Bihar. Narsapuram lace craft: an artisan craft that recently gained recognition. It is indigenous to the state of Atlas moth. The world's largest moth was recently spotted in the Davangere district of Karnataka. Infrastructure milestone. Union Minister Amit Shah inaugurated the redeveloped Badadravathan in Assam, the birthplace of Saint Reformer Srimanta Sankardeva, transformed at a cost of over Rs 222 crore into a world-class cultural hub. Telecom security reforms. Union Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia announced 3 major reforms to bolster India's telecom security, including the release of the National Frequency Allocation Plan 2025 to align with global 5G and 6G standards. Medical education reform. Madhya Pradesh became the first Indian state to establish medical colleges under a public-private partnership model, with foundation stones laid for new colleges in Dar and Batul. Export policy. India announced zero duty on 100% of Australian tariff lines for Indian exports, effective January 1, 2026, marking the 3rd anniversary of the India-Australia ECTA. Medical breakthrough. The Army Hospital in Delhi performed India's first 3D flex aqueous angiography with iStent, a major advancement in minimally invasive glaucoma surgery. AI initiative. The Gujarat government granted in-principle approval for the Indian Artificial Intelligence Research Organisation to be established at Gift City, Gandhinagar, starting January 2026. Space research. ISRO announced plans to build a 3rd launch pad at Sriharikota to support future heavy lift and commercial missions. Defense test. India successfully test-fired the K-4, an intermediate-range submarine-launched ballistic missile with a 3,500 km range, from its 2nd nuclear submarine, INS Arayat. Richest manager. The Huron India Rich List 2025 named Jayshree Ulal, CEO of Arista Networks, as the richest Indian origin professional manager globally, with a net worth of Rs 50,170 crore. Startup growth. India created 5 new unicorns in 2025: Navi, Jumbotail, JSW1 MSME, JustPay, and Raise Financial Services, bringing its total to 124. Banking trends. The Reserve Bank of India reported a decline in the total number of ATMs in FY25, reflecting the continued rise of digital payments. National Investigation Agency, IPS Officer Rakesh Agarwal. Odisha governance. Anu Garg is set to become the first woman Chief Secretary of Odisha, succeeding Manoj Ahuja on December 31, 2025. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe and press the bell icon and like the video.